So today we'll start about creating the process and creating the objects. Okay, and then we'll see how to connect between process and object later. And after that, we'll see the advanced stuff and a lot of other demos. So for your batch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new group called. So we are going to it's like a folder. So I'll create a new group like June 9 to 11, something like that. Okay. And what you can do is either you can create a process directly from here by right clicking create process, or you can create a group, and inside that group you can create a process. Anything is fine. I prefer creating a group and creating processes inside that because it makes more sense. Okay. So if you are working in a real-time project, what you can do is you can either create a main project, like if you're working, for example, with a client like BMW is a client for you, then maybe you can create a folder with the name BMW. Or if you are joining as a lateral, then if the project is already running, there will already be folder. If there is already a folder, the parent folder, you can create subfolders inside that if you're working with some sub modules of the project. For example, if you're working with a part of the web automation, so you can create another folder called web automation, and inside that folder you can create all the process and object, okay, whatever you want. But make sure that it is always in a folder structure, because it becomes easy to organize your all the process and object. Okay, so these are few of the best practices you should follow while designing your process and object. Okay, so inside this folder, let's create a new process. Let me, for example, fast process, dummy fast process. So the thing is that the name of the process, that whatever I am providing, I did a right click and I am providing the name of the process, then I'm going to go next. So this name should be again be business specific. This name should be business specific. You should not put any name here. So whatever module you are trying to automate, it should be specific to that module, and people should be able to know what is happening inside your you know process by looking at this name. So for example, you are doing inside your project, you are trying to do Excel sheet automation. So the name should be Excel sheet, then few of the other naming convention, by looking at which people should understand that what exactly it is doing. Okay, so make your name very business specific, and it should be if you are doing it camel casing, like first letter capital, then something like this. If you are following, this is good. Okay, then go to next, and a description, enter the description of the process, which is completely optional. So this is you can provide some description here. This is completely okay. So this is optional, so you can either choose to keep it blank or enter something. Anything is fine. So normally if you're working with real time, you kindly enter a valid description here, what exactly the module doing. Okay, then click finish. Double click on that, and you will get this a grid structure here for creating workflow. So here we'll be creating our workflow, and for process and object. Okay, so this is for process, and now I'm also going to show you about the Object Studio, and then we'll be comparing what is the difference between a Process Studio and Object Studio. And so that, because that is also a interview question or certification question, what are the visual differences between a Process Studio and Object Studio. I'm not talking about functionality wise, what are the components, what are the controls that are present in Process Studio or that are present in Object Studio which are not present in Process Studio, something like that. Okay, so to answer that question, let me also show you by creating a new object in the same way, so that we'll be able to compare the differences. Okay, so inside the way I created in the process, the same way I'm going to create a new object group. Right click, create group. June 9 to 11, then create object first. Okay, you understood, right? How the object got created. So then we'll be double clicking it, and let's compare these two. This is Process Studio and this is Object Studio. So what are the differences you see here? Uh, so Supriya, what are the differences between the Object Studio and Process Studio? What are the like visually difference and how they serve differently? Can you tell me? Hello.
We will not have the application modeler in Process Studio. We'll be having in the Object Studio.
Okay. There are some other differences.
Yeah, we can't able to read or write in the Process Studio, but we can do that in Object Studio.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So those are a few of the differences. So and see this Supriya and Sagar have a few idea already about Blue Prism. So it may happen that they may be able to understand things faster. But if you so specifically for you, if you are not able to understand anything minor, so kindly ask me, because they may understand faster than you because they already have some idea. So we'll cover everything bit by bit. So if you are not able to understand anything anywhere, then you should let me know and I'll explain it. Okay. So yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about the difference between the Process Studio and Object Studio. Okay. First, let's talk about the functional difference. Then we'll talk about the visual differences between that. So functionally, what the Process Studio does and what an Object Studio does is, the aim of the Object Studio is mainly is to interact with the third-party application and identify the different entities of the third-party application. So what is a third-party application? So let's say Facebook or Amazon, yeah, Facebook.com. Facebook.com is a third-party application for our Blue Prism tool. So it can be anything. I'm only talking about the web application here. We can take an example of a desktop application, mainframe application, Java application. All kinds of application are, the control is going out of my Blue Prism tool. So we can consider those as a third-party application. So to identify different attributes, different properties of that application, we need Object Studio. And we'll be using something called application modeler to identify different properties. How will you do it? We'll see everything later on with example. So if I open facebook.com, okay. So these are the different attributes of this web page, right? One is email or phone, password, then this is there, and a lot of new password, and there are a lot of buttons here and a lot of attributes. So if I want to enter email ID or I want to enter password, how exactly my tool will know that this specific field is email ID field or this specific field is password field? I need to tell Blue Prism that which field out of all these fields in this web page is the email ID field. Okay, so to be able to do that, to be able to identify the particular field out of all these fields which is email ID, we'll be using our Object Studio. So in the Object Studio, what we'll do is we'll go to application modeler. There is something called application modeler. We'll see it later on, and we will identify different attributes of this web page, different attributes of this text box, so that Blue Prism should be able to understand which field is your email ID field or which field is your password field. Okay. And once you do that, the job of Process Studio will be to connect all the dots that you are trying to solve. Okay, so for example, you are trying to log into Facebook, then you are trying to, after you log in, you are trying to read some data from the Facebook homepage that is going to populate. Okay, that is something we are going to do in the Process Studio. So there, what we'll do, the data that is going to pass, the data like in the Process Studio, we'll be passing the data like what is the username and the password. We'll pass from there. We'll be logging. So by doing this, we'll do a login. After the login is done, then what we'll do, we will read data from home page and store. Something like this will do. So this is the difference between Object Studio and Process Studio. These are main like overview how they work functionally. Object Studio will connect with a third-party application and identify all the attributes that we want to automate. However, in Process Studio, we'll be connecting all the business logic and we'll be passing any data that needs to be passed to the application. Okay. This is the functional part. And there are a lot of other stuff we'll discuss, on the flow while discussing Object and Process Studio. But those are the a very basic one that comes to mind. Okay. Visually, there are also few differences. What are the difference? So in the Process Studio, we have all these stages. So in Blue Prism language, all of these icons that you see, these are called stages. Okay, pointer, link, block, process, page, action, decision, till this recover and resume stage. Okay, all of these are called stages, and these stages are also present in the Object Studio. Okay, but there are few stages which are not present in Process Studio but present in Object Studio. There are few of the extra stages. What are those? Those are read, write, navigate, code, and wait. Okay, these are the 5 stages that are present in Object Studio, which is not there in Process Studio, and these are very important ones. For example, the Facebook example, just now I showed it. So there, when we're trying to write into the username and password field, we'll be using the write stage. Okay. Then if we want to read something, we'll be using the read stage. There is a navigate stage, code stage, and wait stage. Okay. We'll talk, in detail about what are the functionalities of all these stages when we discuss Object Studio. There is also something called Application Modeler in Object Studio, which is not there in Process Studio. And the job of Application Modeler is to connect with the application that you are trying to automate. So Facebook or any desktop application, for example, a manual testing tool you have and you want to automate that. And there are different components of that, Windows tool. So you need to connect that through Application Modeler and you need to automate that. Okay, so this is something which is not present in Process Studio because we don't do that in Process Studio. Process Studio is just to execute the business logic, and we'll be using Process to deploy our final like bots in the server. So having said that, let's talk only about Process Studio now. After that, once we finish Process Studio and different components of Process Studio, we'll go ahead and look into the Object Studio. Okay, so I'm going to close this Object Studio and open up the Process Studio. So initially, when you create a process, this is the screen that you see. So I'm talking about Process Studio. Okay, we are going to discuss about Process Studio today. So initially, when you create a new process, this is the screen. This is the default screen that you see here. And there are a few of the components that are already pre-populated. One is the information box that you see here, which shows the name of the process, the comment, the description, which is optional I have put. So you can put some valid description here, and when it was created and last updated. Okay, it was created by admin at this particular time and it was last changed by admin at this particular time. Okay, and we are in the main page. So here we have a single page. So there is another difference between Process and Object Studio is that we have a main page here and we can go ahead and create multiple pages here. These are called page. Okay, main page, this is a single page. However, in Object Studio, there will be few pages already pre-populated, and from there you have to go ahead. Okay, that is also One difference you can say. So this is the your information box, and if you double click it, we have condition information. We'll talk about what all these things are and what is the importance of this, but not now. Okay, just understand that this is a process information box. The process information, it provides you information about your process. And this is the start state and this is the end state. It is very obvious by looking at the name that your execution of the process will start from this stage, start state, and it will end at the end state. So just understand that a process and whatever business logic that we are going to write will remain here in between the start and end. Okay, so in between the start and end, if you want to calculate something, if you want to do anything, it will remain here. Okay. And you can have multiple end states, but you'll have a single start stage only, but you can have multiple end states. Okay, why multiple end? Because a process can end in multiple ways. So for example, I started an application and I'm checking if age of a candidate is more than 18 years, then allow him or her to log into Facebook or something like that. So there are two possibilities here. Either age will be greater than 18 or age will be less than 18. So if age is less than 18, so process some different business logic. For example, show him a message that you are not eligible for logging into this website, and you can do something else. You can redirect him to something else, and you can end the process. However, if age is greater than 18, then you can fetch the Facebook homepage and it's a login page and do something other like activity. So based on that condition, will be having different direction of execution of our workflow. So that is the reason we can have multiple end states, but we can have single start stage, because the entity, the workflow will always start from a single standpoint. So that is the reason also we do not have a stage called start stage. We cannot drag and drop a start stage. It will, by default, it will always have one start stage. Okay, so okay, after that, let me just create very simple, very basic process. And also, okay, so as I told, these are the different stages, and we'll see functionality of each of these stages one by one. Okay, what each of these stages do. Then we'll see how how we can communicate between two process using a process stage, how to communicate between multiple pages and all of that stuff. So to do anything, you have to drag and drop any of the stages. So for example, if I want to use a decision stage, I have to drag and drop that. If I want to use an action stage, I have to drag and drop. How to drag it? Just left click, press left click, hold it and drop it here. Okay, that's the way to drag and drop. It's like any drag and drop. Okay, from the left side, drag and drop. And on the upper side here, as I said, these are the stages, and we'll be using all these stages for our creating our business logic. On the top, this top toolbar that we have, this will be used for running our application. The first one. One sec. Yeah. So using this one, we'll run our application. So there are different modes of execution: fast, normal, and slow. So based on the speed, whatever you want, you can run your application the way you want. Either you can run it fast or run it normal or slow. I normally do that normal in most of the cases, because this is used for development purpose and you want to see how the execution is happening by yourself step by step. So you can choose normal in that case. You can pause your application from the second icon here. Whatever your workflow is executing, it will pause your execution from there itself. The next three buttons are for your debugging option. It will help you for debugging of your application in case you move into some error, and it will be very useful for debugging purpose. And we'll be discussing all these debugging options later on. And this is the reset one. So reset will be using for any whatever changes, for example, we are doing. So for example, I drag and drop on decision stage and I want to see the changes, or I want to Blue Prism to be Blue Prism to understand all the changes. I need to reset it so Blue Prism takes all the changes, okay? Because this is a UI representation of the workflow, and once you drag and drop, Blue Prism is not yet aware of that I have drag and drop something. I need to tell Blue Prism that synchronize all the recent changes that I have done. So for that, you have to press the reset button here. See, if I press reset button, I got 4 errors now, because this, when I drag and drop this, it created some error. There are no links here, and there are a lot of other errors. That is also fine. We'll solve all that. So reset is for bringing any latest changes to your workflow. Okay, once you make the changes, you have to press the reset button for it to be reflected. The next icon here are the number of errors that you have, and it shows you how to solve that as well. Click on that. Now currently in my workflow there are 4 errors. Okay, let me click on this and let's see what are the errors. So when I click on this, it gives me this box. It's called process validation box. It shows me all the validation rules that my process did not follow and all the errors that it is giving. So in the main page, what is the main page? This is the main page, okay? And what is the name of the stage? Decision stage. There are 3 errors in decision stage and 1 error in start stage, okay? It says error like expression is blank, no link is there, and missing link and all of that stuff. So for example, let's connect the link from here. So how to connect a link from one stage to another? Click on the link here. We are in the pointer by default. Click on the link. Once link is selected, it will be highlighted like this within a box. And it will also be attached to your mouse pointer. As you can see, there is a little icon attached to my mouse pointer. I can now connect all this. And now if I reset it, there are 2 errors. See, 2 errors are gone. 2 errors were there due to the missing link. So when I reset it, there is there is 2 errors from 4. Now again, I can look into it and I can remove the errors, but that is fine. That isn't something we'll not do now. So this is errors. This is your breakpoints. So breakpoint is something which we'll be using during our debugging. So if you right click, there is option called breakpoint. So you can use this breakpoint and it will provide you this red border outside your stage. Across the border it will provide you this, and these are the breakpoints. So this one, it will give you the breakpoint. See here, when I click this, it is giving me all the breakpoints in the page. So in the main page, I have a breakpoint called at decision 1. So in a larger application, in real-time application, what happens, you can have a lot of breakpoints while you are testing something. If you are trying to debug something, you can have a lot of breakpoints that time. And if you want to see the list of all the breakpoints, then you can just click on this button, this flag button, view breakpoints, and it will give you a list of all the breakpoints. Okay. So okay, that's it. The rest of the icons are not that much necessary, and mostly will be used during a lot of stuff will also be used during debugging and all. We'll see that. This is, for example, drag and drop data items on the right hand side to watch. This is like watch list, so you can put something. We do not have any data items, so basically we can create a new data item. I'll tell you how to create data item from here, and that time you can put that in watch list. So any value changes there and all of that stuff, you can track that. Okay. The rest of the stuffs are full screen mode, then zoom it, then search some text and find it, and all of that stuff. You'll find all the dependency that you have with your process. So for example, my dummy process that I have here, in the dependency, if I click on the dependency, I don't have any dependency as of now. What are the dependency? Like for example, main page is referring to some other page, then that page is referring to some other process and all of that. Then that process is referring to work queue. Then there are a lot of So there are a lot of stuff that goes into while creating a process. There are a lot of different dependency that comes into picture while designing a full-fledged process. So that case, you can see all the dependency from here in the dependency. Okay, so let's create, let's now that we are clear about what are the different functionalities of each of these tools. I'm not going to explain you about that this is save button and this is like print, cut, copy, paste and undo. So this is self-explanatory. You can easily check it out. Bolt. This is like any other tool if you have used. This is same. Okay. So what I recommend, another thing is that
one second. I have a small doubt. It might be advanced to others. Sorry to ask this. See, as we are discussing about the dependencies, sure, we are going to call some pages to other pages, right? In some application purpose and all. So in that time, see, for example, the main page is I'm creating some ABC page, okay, where I'm calling the main page. So that time when I click main page and then when I see the dependencies, so I can see the ABC page is dependent on the main page like that.
Yeah. So you can see all the dependency from here. Okay.
So that is why the dependencies works here, or
yeah. So
right?
So all the project dependencies. So for example, let me save it. So okay, one more thing, when you are closing an application or you are doing anything important and you are closing it, you must save it, otherwise all of your changes will be gone. Okay, let me save it, and I'm not sure if I have any dependency somewhere. Okay, so for example, this example, if I click on dependency, what are the dependency I have? I have a dependency with different data items. You see, in this example, I am using a lot of the data items, so all the dependency are there here. And here also, I have few dependency with the Object Studio. I am using one environment lock here. So it is also showing that this bot1 process is also dependent on an environment lock. Okay. Then I have, few append text to file. There is an action I am dependent on, one action I am taking. You see here this structure.
I got it.
Okay, so whatever you are using, all the dependency you will be able to see here. So this is a nice tool that explains you this process is dependent on what are all the items in the Blue Prism, all the data items, all the queue, all the work queue, all the environment log, all the utilities and everything. Okay. And this is where it will be. Just that in our process that we are discussing, we have not created anything. We don't have any data item. We don't have any process, no pages, nothing. That is the reason it is not showing any dependency. Once we go ahead and make it working, make it a little bit complex, then it will be you'll be able to see the dependency. Hi Sakshi, you joined the call?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. So what we discussed is we're discussing about the Process Studio. Okay. So here in the studio we have the Process Studio right here. There is something called process and there is something called object. So we were discussing about that, how to create a process. So we created a process by right clicking and create process. After the process is created, we have double clicked on the process and we are discussing about the process from then on. What are the different components and what are the different buttons, what are the functionality of each of the stages and buttons and all of that stuff. Okay, I'm just giving an overview of what the tool looks like and how the tool works and all of that stuff. So I'm going to upload this video. I'm recording this video yesterday and today's video. So for the part you have missed because you have joined late, you can go through the video and you can later ask me if you are facing if you have any issue or doubts, you can let me know.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, so these are the different elements that Blue Prism provides us to enable us to write better, processes and create a complex process and execute complex business logic. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's create a simple process. Let's start from a simple process. Then we'll go ahead and look at multiple, uh, multiple stages execution inside the like Process Studio. So I'm going to delete it. How to delete a process? How to delete few components? You can either select it, or you can draw a box like this by holding your cursor, and you can press the delete button in your keyboard and it will be deleted. Otherwise, you could have also right clicked and deleted. This delete option is there, right? You can right click and delete anything. That is also fine. Right click and delete. It will be deleted. Okay. So as I said, we'll be having a start and end stage by default, and within the start and end stage, we'll be writing our business logic. Okay. So let's take few of the examples of the very basic one today. So for example, let's discuss about the calculation stage and how to get the calculation stage here. So select here the calculation stage, select here, then drag and drop the calculation stage, and it will get you the calculation stage. So what is the aim of the calculation stage? It is very self-explanatory. It is mainly for calculation only, right? If you want to calculate anything, you'll be using calculation stage. We also have something called multi-calculation stage that we'll be using for multiple calculation, like add something, then deduct something, divide it, and all of that stuff. We'll see that, but first let's discuss about the calculation stage, very basic one. So in the calculation stage, basically we'll be performing all the mathematical operation like addition, division, and all of that stuff. So double click on the calculation stage, double click on that, and you will be seeing this window. This is called your properties window. It is saying calculation properties, and you can perform all of your operation here in the calculation properties. You can perform all of your operation here, whatever you want to do. For example, I want to add two numbers, then I can write 23 plus 45. This will add 23 plus 45. Okay. Again, I can validate if my expression that I have written is correct or not. From here, validate. It says the following. There is an error, like stage to store result does not exist. It is telling that you are adding something, but you are not storing the result somewhere, right? So after adding, we need to store the result somewhere, and here store result in some data item, we have to store it. So that is the reason it is giving the error. Okay. Here, this is the expression builder, and this is where we'll be storing the result. This is the name of the calculation. So for example, I want to do an addition, so I can name it addition like this. Okay. Description is optional, or you can write some valid description. Adds to numbers. Then let's add two numbers. So let me create a data item to store the result. So what is a data item? Data item, here we have something called data item, and drag and drop one of these, and data item is something which will be used as variable, and this will be all intermediary variable which will be used to store data for processing, or which will be used to store for initializing variable. For example, I want to store the let's say name of few countries initially, and based on that I want to do some operation. So I can I can get multiple data item and store those. Or if I want to store an IP address, for example, then I can get an data item and store the IP address, and later on I can use the same data item in my workflow. For now, what we need with this data item is that we want to store the result. This result that we have, we want to store that here. So double click on this and this data item, and let's see how it looks. See, this is a data property, and let's name it as result. And data type is obviously a number, and initial value, we don't have any initial value because we are going to store this result. Give me 1 minute. So yeah, this is the name where we are storing the result. This is the description, which is again optional. So description is always optional. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat again and again about description. This is always optional, and you should provide a valid description for anything that you do in a real time. It makes others to understand what you have been doing. And data type is, what is the data type? So obviously the addition of two numbers is going to be a number only. So that is the reason we are storing the data types here. And okay, and initial value we don't have anything. Exposure also we don't have anything. So these stuffs we'll be discussing later on. Exposure, current value, visibility, and all of that we'll discuss all this, and we'll talk about all this later on. Okay, for example, let's stick with the very basic one and click OK. So result is a number data type. That is the only thing we have, discussed here. So double click on addition, and 23 plus 45. Let's store it in result. So how to store it? It is telling that store result in this variable here. So we want to store that in result, right? The one that we recently created. So as you can see here on the right side, we have all the data types: binary, collection, dates, date, time, flag, number, image, and all of that. And we have created a data item called result in this page, so it is showing result only. If we have created something in dates, it will show dates. So now let's drag and drop result here. Just drag and drop from here, and we are telling that we are adding these two numbers and we are storing it here. Okay, that's it. Then click OK. Now let's validate, and it says the expression is valid because everything is fine. Okay, let's click OK here, and let's add this workflow. Let's like connect it. How did I connect it? By you have to go to link here and draw the link from here. Okay, you have to draw the link and complete the workflow like this. Now reset, as I said, you have to reset. You have to click on this reset button for all the changes to be reflected, because we have made some changes in the workflow and that is not reflected here in the Blue Prism. So let's press reset. And as you can see, there are no errors here, 0 errors. So make sure that you have absolutely 0 errors before proceeding, otherwise it will fail. And let's run it. How to run it? By clicking on this button. So go button, run. As you can see, after this execution, the result is populated with 68, because this addition gives us 68. So this is how you will make an addition. Again, this is wrong, and this is hard-coded value 23 plus 48. What we could have done is we could have taken two more data items. For example, data item 1 and data item 2. Let's name it number 1. Data type is obviously a number. Let's provide a value of 45, initial value of 45 initially to this number. And let's make the second one as number 2, data type as number, initial value as 55. Click OK. Then go to addition. Instead of this one, select all and delete it. And obviously, because we have created two new numbers, those will start showing here. So drag and drop number 1 to here. Click the plus button in your keyboard. Then drag and drop number 2 to here. And then let's add number 1 plus number 2 and store the result here. So you can validate for it to be correct. It's valid. Click OK here. Reset for all the changes to be reflected recently, and then run it. And you can see 45 plus 55, 100. It is showing here the result. Okay. Now if you go here, double click here, all the numbers whatever we have given, there is something called current value that is populated. You see, previously this value was empty. Previously the current value was empty. We did not provide anything. We only provided a value of initial value. So the thing is that in Blue Prism, whenever you are running a process, it reflects in the current value. What value currently the data item holds. It does not care about what was the initial value. Once the process is run, it is always about the current value. Okay. So it may require that you may want to delete it in case you want to run it again, because the current value can be different from the initial value many times. Okay. So this is the difference between your current value and initial value. Initial value is what you define initially. However, current value will be populated after your process is run. Okay. Uh, okay. So we are going to see more about the data items, different data types and all. But any doubts till now? Anything you want to understand here? Let me know. You are clear about how everything is happening, right? Okay. So let's talk about different data types. So when we double click a data item, we need to choose between different data types, right? And there are different data types. So I hope all of you are know what are the different data types. These are anyway self-explanatory. For example, if a data type is date, then we need to provide a date here. So for date data type, you can choose this calendar icon and select a date, and it will give you a date for you. For date time, it will give you both date and time. So for example, this is the date and this is already the time, current time 9:56. Okay. So date time will give you both date and time. Okay. So a date and date time are necessary when you are doing some complex calculation. So for example, if you are trying to uh, if you're designing if you're automating an event website, there is an event website that is there you're automating. So you'll encounter a lot of date time there, date and date time, which you need to automate. So in those scenarios, it will be wise to use the date and date time so that you can change different values of those fields automatically. Then we have flag. Flag is basically either true or false. So basically, if you are trying to check, so let's say if age is greater than 18, so what are the outputs? What are the outputs for age is greater than 18? It will be either be true or it will be false. So if that is the scenario, we'll be using a data type called flag and it will only contain value either true or false. Okay. Number is basic number we have seen now, 4500. Password is your password field for Gmail, Facebook. This is the password field, so it will not be visible. Text is the basic text, the plain text here. So I can write my text here also, A, B, C, D, all of these are text only, and it will come here. These are text, like all alphabets, alphanumeric value, and all of that. I can miss, text and numbers also. This will be considered as a text. Okay. Then I have time. Time is your basic time. So whatever time you choose to. So for example, this is the time 4:36. This one. This say whatever. If you want to take only time, then you have to use the time data item. Then I have time span. Time span is the span of the. So for example, I want my counter to execute for 1 hour, 1 day, 23 hour, 30 minutes, and 50 seconds. Okay. If I want a counter or if I want a countdown, something like that, after this time something should happen or something like that, this is the time span. So for example, I want to execute something after maybe 0 days, 2 hours, 5 minutes, something like that. So that case I'll be using time span. This is the time span value. Image is basically your basic image, whatever image you want directly, PNG, JPEG, and all of that image. So see all of the oh no. Okay, I don't have any image here. So basically that is your image. Okay, the image you are uploading to Facebook or Twitter or whatever you're doing, that is the image. So we can import an image from here, and we can operate on that image whatever we want. Maybe you want to if the use case is that you are sending the image somewhere, or the use case is that if you are using this image to store any other image. So for example, let's make it an image, and what I am doing, I am going to maybe let's say Netflix or any website that Google Image, for example, and you are searching few image here. and this one, for example. So you are going to this website, clicking on it, and you are trying to save this image. So how Blue Prism will save the image? Blue Prism will need to store the image somewhere, right? And the type of data item that we'll be using to the data type that is used to store the image will be image only. So that case, select image as a data type so that it will accommodate saving the image data. And I also have something called binary. So what is binary? Binary items are used to store binary data. So what is binary data? Binary data is the combination of 0, 0, 1, 1 and all of that stuff. And many times in the industry, most of your images are also stored in binary form. So images in binary code. Okay. So a lot of things can be interpreted as binary code. So binary, as I said, is basically 0, 0, 0, 1, 1 and something like that. So as you can see here, this is an online converter. If you choose a file, it will convert that to binary format. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 1 and like that, like this, something like this. Okay, so you can choose to send this binary data also in the server. Why it happens? Because the images that we send are normally very less secure. Images expose very much security chances to our system. So most of the time when we work in programming languages like Java, C# or Python and JavaScript and all of that. So for example, in the front end, I am sending an image. So when you upload your profile picture in Facebook, what happens is the image does not go to the server. Okay, the image itself does not go to the server. What happens is the image gets converted into binary code, and the binary code goes into the server. And in the server side, again, you'll be writing some programming language, right? Like Java or Python or Node.js. That programming language will decode that whatever you are sending, decode that binary data, and it will form the image out of that, and it will store the image. So the data transmission between from the client to the server happens in binary. It does not the image file directly does not go most of the time. Obviously you can choose to send the image directly, but most of the time we encode the image in 0, 1 format and we send it. This is called encoding and decoding, and it is always a lot better in terms of security. So if you are trying to send any binary code, or if you are trying to get any binary code, so for example, there are some data in the website or somewhere where the output is in binary format. So you can choose this binary format to store those kinds of data. Okay, understood all of the data types? Any doubts in any of the data type? Please let me know. Okay. Okay then. So now that it's clear, so there are a few things like exposure, then visibility. We'll see all this later on, visibility and all, and exposure. So exposure is important, and this is an important question in your interview and certification as well. The three types of exposure: static, environment, and session. These three type of exposure, these are very important, and we'll see this maybe after 2 weekends. We'll see the different type of exposure, and we'll see real-time example of how exposure actually works. Okay. So now that we are done with the data types, let's go back into the calculation stage. Okay. So let me delete this. You can select a whole like this and press the delete button. Okay. So in the addition, there are a lot of options in this box. Okay, let me talk about that. So we have a lot of functions here, and we have something called evaluate expression also. So our number 1, number 2 is missing because we have deleted those. So that is the reason it is giving me error. So I can delete this and just hard code some value here. So this evaluate expression is something you can also use to validate the expression. So it is telling that expression result equal to 68. It means that your result, when the process completes, your result should be also 68. So you can use that for evaluating your expression. This is your expression. Now, the most important modules here in the calculation box are your functions. So Blue Prism provides a lot of functions to us. Okay, and I'm going to explain few of the functions to you guys, but as an assignment in the next 5 days that you have, I want all of you to practice rest of the functions so that you become familiar with that. And once you practice different functions, it becomes very easy to execute complex business logic. Okay, so there are a lot of business logic which requires date conversion or calculation of something, string operation where you are doing a string operating on a string. For example, these are all the strings, so we'll be calling this a string. All this text is called string. And you're doing a string operation where you are changing something here and there, calculating the length of the string, then replacing something and all of that stuff. So this is also very important in the Blue Prism. And let's discuss about the different functions here. So for this example, let's not do addition anymore. I am going to delete this addition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop one another data item. Let's call it text. Data type is text, and it can store value like A, B, C, something like that. Okay. Here I'm going to delete this, and my result. Okay, let it be there. Let's go step by step. So for example, let me first tell about your number. Okay, what are the different options that we have in number? So that example that we see where we are doing 25 plus 34, let me also whatever I had before, let me do it again because I have just deleted it. Num1 data type is number with an initial value. Num2 data type is number. Okay, num1 and num2 we have. In the addition box, we were trying to add this. So, just note that Blue Prism provides direct function for all the mathematical operation. So, if you go to number, there is something called number inside function. You have add, decimal padding, divide, log, and a lot of other stuff. So, if you go to add, what will happen? It is asking that what it will do. It is giving you two options: operand A and operand B. So we are trying to do what? Number 1 plus number 2. We want to write this, right? We want to write this expression here. So instead of doing that, let's use this add function here in Blue Prism. So let's go to number, and in operand A, let's drag and drop number 1. In operand B, drag and drop number 2, and click on the paste button. If you click on the paste button, it will form the expression directly for you. You can validate, it should be fine. Okay, so you can use this function, number functions to create the addition or the mathematical expression that you want to do. For example, divide. I want to create number 1 divided by number 2. Let me delete this by selecting, click on the delete button. Let's paste it. It will create this expression, number 1 divided by number 2. Okay. So you can do a lot of other stuff. For example, you can find out log of a function. Log 1000 base 10, it will give you all 3 and all of that. You can use multiply, power, round off, round down, and up. What is round down? So round down. So let's see. I want to round down 10.4. 10.6 for example, 10.6, 7, then 3, and I want to round down by 2 places. These are the number of places. This is the number I want to round. Paste it, then click OK here, then reset and run. As you can see here, it gives me 10.67 as output. You see here, output is 10.67. Why? Because what I am doing, 10.673, I am rounding it down to, by 2 places. So after decimal, it will take 2 places only. Okay. So let's do 10.679. Click OK here. Reset and run it. It also give me the same one, 10.67. So what this means that no matter what is there, 1, 2, 3, anything, it will only, it is a round down, so it will give you the base value. It will give you the, whatever decimal points you want, it will give you that value, round down, round off, and all of that stuff. So for example, and every example is there here. See, round down, what is the function? Gets a number rounded down to a numerical of decimal places. For example, round down 1.47 of 1 results in 1.4. Okay, so something like that, all the example you have. So what I want you guys to do is that these are self-explanatory, and there is all the examples you have here. So at home, just practice all these different functions. Okay, round off, round, and all of this function. Just practice, all this function in detail, so that it will be useful when you are doing some, complex operation. So what is round? Round is, again, it will give you the rounded value. So for example, 10.67. So here, see here, what it is doing, what round is doing, 1.47. If it is rounding by 1, if it is giving you 1.5. So let's see this example. So 1.47 places is 1, paste it. So what it is doing, 1.47. What is the next higher value? It will round up to that. Okay. So 1.5 is the next higher value, so it will round up to that. So click OK, reset and run. It is giving you 1.5. Okay, if this value is, for example, 1.41, then what will be the value? It is giving you 1.4 because it is rounding it up. Okay, so basically, if it is less than 1.45, you see the 5 here. If it is less than 1.45, so 4, then 4, 3, and all of that, it will round to the nearest, nearest whole value. Nearest is 1.4. However, it is greater than 1.45. 1.46, 1.47, it will round to the nearest, higher value, because the nearest is 1.5 here, not 1.4. Okay, you understood this, how it is, the rounding is happening? Or any doubts here? Let me know. Okay, so again, to find out the square root of a function, okay, you have to use square root. Subtract is your 2 minus 1, all that stuff. There is something called decimal padding. Okay, what is a decimal padding? Decimal padding will be very useful if you want to pad few of the numbers. So for example, what happens is, if you are calculating, if you are calculating 3 divided by 2, no, sorry, 10 divided by 3, you'll get all this, right? 3.3333. I do not want all this 3 till 14 or 15 places. I want it by 2 places only. I want 3.33 only. How will I do that? So that is something where either you can use your round down and round up by how many places you want, or you can also choose your decimal padding also in those cases. So for example, decimal padding of 1 and 2 will give you 1.00. So it is for after decimal, what you want. Get text representing a number with decimal places padded out with zeros. Okay. So if the expression is not like that, 1.333. So for example, the expression is like 2 here, and I want 2 places 00. Paste it, and it will give me 2.00. The output will be 2.00. Okay. So if the so this decimal padding, so I was a little bit wrong here. It is not like so this example that I gave you, 10 divided by 3. This example was wrong. So if you want 3.33 here, you don't use decimal padding, but you have to use the round down or round up by how many places you want. 3.33. If you want by 2 places, you have to make it by 2 places. Here the places is there, right? So you can write how many places you want, 3.33 or all of that stuff. Okay, and but your decimal padding is how many zeros you want after a number. So for example, after 1, I want how many zeros after 1, 1.2 to 1.00 and all of that stuff, because this is decimal padding, and decimal means, you know, it's about the zeros, padding of zeros. So gets the text representing a number with decimal places padded out with zeros. Okay, so decimal padding of 1, 2 gives me 1.00. I want here 2 zeros after 1 in the decimal places. Okay, so these are the one very basic one. You can just practice everything. Everything is self-explanatory, and they have given an example here, so you can just refer to this example and practice it. If you find any issue, you know, just, you know, ping in that WhatsApp group. We'll be solving that. Okay, any doubts in the number? We are fine with the number, right? What are the different functions of the number? So all these things, why we are discussing this, because, you know, these are very important when we, you know, discuss about complex calculation, when we go about very complex mathematical operation, if somewhere it is needed. If we are doing some you know, Excel sheet operation, and there we need to have some complex calculation in few of the fields, few of the columns, then all these are needed. Okay, similarly, the number we have discussed, we have different text function also: character, concatenation, end swith, in string, left, length, and all of these stuff. Apart from, you know, most of the times I'll say this text function, all the text function that you have, you will get minimum 1 to 2 questions either in interview, or if any of you are planning to write the certification exam, which I recommend you to write, you'll get minimum 1 to 2 question of what are the functionality of this function. Okay, so Blue Prism tells specifically to concentrate over the function. There they have a document for certification. 1 minute. Okay, someone. Hello, is it audible? It's audible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there are different text functions, so you can use this text function to you know, your whatever string I was talking about. So text is also called as string, so you can manipulate your string based on this you know, all these functions: character, concatenation, end swith, in string, and all of that stuff. So what is a character? Character gets the character code represented by the given numeric code. So for example, 65 is A, 66 is B. So this is called ASCII code, if any of you know about ASCII code. So all the characters that we have in the, you know, in our, this is some other language, Chinese, I guess, we'll be talking about the English alphabet. So all the languages, for example, A is 65. As you can see here, A is 65, then, okay, A is 65, B is 66, and it goes to capital Z. Then small a to small z have ASCII value, and all the numbers have ASCII value also, and all the like special characters have ASCII value. Okay, so if you want to convert anything to ASCII value, then it will give you that. Okay, so get the character represented by the given number code. 65 is A, and then 66 is B and all of that stuff. Okay, so if I write here 65, so character of 65, the result will be A here. So I need to create a text data item here, new text data item, and I can store it there. Okay, and if you run this text here, it says A. Okay, because 65 is A. Similarly, for their different text operation like concatenation. What is concatenate? Concatenate, we want to connect two strings. For example, here I want to say the value, the ASCII char is, I want to drag and drop text here. So what it is concatenating? The ASCII char as the first operand and the text that we got as second operand. Let me delete this and paste it, and it will give me this result. And now if I reset and run it, my text will be populated with something else. See, now double click and see the value of text. The ASCII char is, A should come here. It's not coming because what we are overriding that. So the previously we were doing the char operation, right? So we are not doing that. We are not converting that to CHR. Otherwise it would have come. So for example, this text is nothing. The text is initially empty. That is the reason it is becoming empty. So what you can do is, if you can provide some value here, it will come automatically. See here what it is doing now. The ASCII character is, it is appending text. So what is the value of text? Text value is value only. We are storing value here. So if you go now here, the ASCII char is value. So this value is being appended from here. Okay, got it? You are able to understand? Or any questions here? Let me know how the concatenation is happening. It is like connecting to to text. It is just connecting to text. You're clear, right? You're able to understand what is happening here, because these are the things that are this looks very basic now, and these are the only things that we are going to use in future while doing complex operation. So if you're not able to understand anything, kindly let me know. Then again, we have end sweep, in string, left, length, and all of that stuff. You can go ahead and practice everything. Let me just give you an overview of all this so that you be familiar with that. But I want you guys to practice everything, because in this demo, I'm not going to give example of each and every function because it doesn't make sense. These are very simple ones, and you can practice it by yourself. So for example, in string or end sweep. What ends with? If example ends with AMPLE, it's true, because this string EXAMPLE ends with the substring AMPLE, so it will give you true. Okay, so it is ends with either certain text ends with another text. Then in string is in string of example MP, result me 4. Why? Because in the string EXAMPLE, MP is present at 4th position, 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5. MP is present here, so it will give me the starting position 4. So try all this. These are all self-explanatory with example. Length of a text, so example will give me 7 because it is 7 characters long. So practice all this. Okay, these are all self-explanatory with example. If everything is there, what you have to do from your side, if the same way what I have done, you have to take some characters here within double quotes, or you can make some of the you can drag and drop one data item. You can drag and drop one data item and make the data item as text, for example, and provide some initial value here, and work upon the text. Okay, drag and drop that particular data item, whatever is created in the text, drag and drop, and make some operation out of here and see the result, how it is behaving. Okay, will you be able to do that? Or if you have any doubts, you can ask me. I want you guys to practice it, because I can go on and explain everything, but in this way, if you are practicing, you'll be able to explore the different components of this tool, and you can get started. If you have any doubts, then I'll always be available for answering it. But I want you guys to practice all this, because it may be a little bit different for you, because if you are very new to this tool, then how to use this, how to use this box, how to paste it, how to validate it, and all of that stuff. Okay, fine. You guys will practice this, right? Okay, Supriya, thanks. Okay, so this is all about the different functions. Okay, so this is about the text function and number function that we have seen. We also have logic, which is very same, with very simple, with an AND operation, equals. So if I want to check if 2 equals 3, okay, this is the logic. If 2 equals 3, then this is going to give me false. Okay, now can you tell me one thing? If I want to check if 2 equals 3, for example, I am checking 2 equals is equals. Okay, this is the is equals I am checking, for example, if 2 equals 3. So I am storing that in text. Okay, I am storing that in text. Let's store that in result, for example. Instead of text, let's store that in. Okay, that is fine. Let's store that in text only. Okay, what I'm taking here, if 2 is equal to 3. So can any one of you tell me what should be the data type of the text? Because obviously 2 is equal to 3. This is the output is not a text, right? So I cannot store that in a text data item. So what should be the data type of the text? Anybody here? What should be the data type of the text? What will the result be? 2 equal to 3. Will it create a date? It will create a number. What it will create?
A number, I believe. 0, whatever it is.
No. So what do you think is the output of 2 equal to 3? It is we are comparing something. It's a logical comparison we are doing. We are comparing if 2 equals to 3.
It will be true and false. Something
yeah,
like
right. Yes, it will be either true or it will be either false, because if 2 equal to 3, it is false here, and if 2 equal to 2, it will be true here. So the data type will be flag here. So flag, as we discussed before, flag is the data type which contains true and false. Okay, so it will be like that. So if I run this now, it is false here. Okay, so these are the things you need to be a little bit aware during the initial phase of the training, because this is going to form the building blocks of what we are going to build next, okay, in the complex ones. So that is the reason I'm telling you. So we'll finish the installation of the tool somehow within 2-3 days, and in the rest of the 4 days that you have left before the next class, I want all of you to complete the practicing of all of these functions that we have, because these are absolutely necessary. So why we are storing it in text? Let's see what, if we store that in text, what is happening. Let's store that in text. Okay, I'm storing that in text, which is wrong, but let's store it. As you see, in the text also it is coming false. So what is the difference? We're storing it in the flag and we're storing it in the text. In both way, we are getting the value as false. So what is the difference here between the text and flag, where we are not going ahead with flag? The difference is flag is the correct data item to store the result. If we store in text, the problem it will face is, let me tell you what the problem. So again, we have something called decision stage. Okay, we have something called decision stage where we need to check something. So later on, if I want to do some validation here, so let me do some validation. For example, let's not work upon the decision. We'll look into decision, what decision stage is. But if I want to do some validation, so later, for example, if I want to check if text, then do something. So what happens is, when we do expression like this, here I am not checking like if age is greater than 18 or like that. What I am checking, I'm only checking if text. So if text means these are your flag data type. If text means if it is true, then do it automatically if it is true or false. But if you are taking the data type as text, if you are taking the data type as text, it will not work. So if you are taking the data type, what was the output? It is the text output, but its data type is text only, then it will not result in true and false. Okay, so you have to check like this that time. If text equals to false like this, because that's a string data type, so you have to check like this. So your it will not make any sense for you to make it text. So anytime if you want to have a decision, if it is 2 equals to 3 or if it is greater than that and all of that stuff, so all the logic that you have here. So for example, let's say and. Okay, let's check greater than. So here we can check 45 greater than 34, paste it. So you can also paste it from here. So all this expression greater than, less than, equals to, less than, equals to, all of this, the output should be your flag only. Okay, because you'll be the output will be either true or false. Then there are a lot of stuff. So other ones I'm not going to talk about. So for example, is number, if something is a number or not. So for example, ABC. Okay, paste it. Is number ABC. What it will give? Is ABC a number? That is what it is taking. Is number ABC. It will give me false because ABC is not a number. Okay. As you can see here, each number example results in false because example is not a number. So let's take 54 here and let's store that in text. And if you run it, it is true because 54 is a number. Okay, so that is how it will happen. And so you can practice. So till now we have discussed all these three: text, and you yourself need to go with different functions of text, and then we have number, all this round down, multiply, divide, power, and all this number functions. Then we have logic, where we have comparing. AND operator equals to false. What is AND? If I want to compare something like this, if is greater than 18, I also want to check something else. AND pin number, no, for example, salary is greater than 1 lakh. I want to do something. In that case, if I have multiple comparison, I'll use AND operator. I can use another AND, for example, to do something else. Here I'll be doing 2 AND only because Blue Prism provides functionality for 2 ANDs only in operand A and operand B. However, you can provide another AND here by doing that in operand A. So what I'm telling is that I want 3 ANDs here. How will I do it? Blue Prism provides me 2 AND, operand A, operand B. So how will I provide 3 AND operator? Any idea how will I do 3 AND operation?
Can we take like 2 operands in the operand A and the other one is in operand B?
Yeah, exactly. So we have to do like that. So for example, what we are checking here, so 1 is less than 2 is 1 we are checking here, and 3 is less than 4 is the another operation we are checking here, right? What are checking here? 1 is less than 2 and 3 is less than 4. If we paste it, it is forming like that. I also want to check and 5 is greater than 6. However, I don't have an operand to store 5 is greater than 6, right? I don't have a third operand C. I don't have it. So how will I store it? I can take this particular one, 5 and 6, and I can store it here only. In this, like this. And now if I paste it, it will form the whole expression. Okay. One second, guys. Okay, so you can make it complex by using all this operand A, operand B. Again, let me show you how this can be easier, when you are making it complex, how you can make it easier. So the way to do is that this expression builder is there, right? The right side icon, these are expression builders. So you can go inside the expression builder to build this particular expression again, because if it looks a little bit complex to you, what you can do is remove it, go inside this. What I did, I clicked it, and I can form my expression here. I can again go to logic, and for example and here in the first operand I can check 5 is greater than 6. In the second operand I can check 76 equals to 54, something like that, and paste it, and it creates this for me. Okay, and if I click OK here, this total expression will go to operand B. Click OK, the whole expression came here. You got my point, did you? And if I remove it and paste the whole one, whatever is there from operand A and B will go here. So did you understand what I just did now? It's a little bit complex. I would not say complex, but a little bit different than what we are doing. Any doubts here? Ansi, Sakshi, are you guys able to understand this?
No, currently no doubts.
We are fine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay then. So the thing is that you need to practice a little bit in the initial phase, because this is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to use. In fact, I'll say we'll use these things to build a little bit larger applications. So I want all of you to practice this. Otherwise, in the future, I'm going to directly use all this without explaining. I'm going to directly use all of this, and you are also going to see a lot of this example. So it should not be very new to you when you are seeing all this advanced demo. So when you are getting time, because for this week and next week we are not going to explain anything large, anything huge. So this is the time to practice and make it easy for you. Okay. So now that we are done with the text, number, and logic, we have few other stops which are important in terms of certification and interview are date. This is the one you will get a minimum one question from wherever you go. So you can practice this as well, the date function. So what is a date function? Let me tell you. We have seen the date data type, right? Date, and time. You can use those data type for using date functions, right? So for example, add days. What add days does? It adds number of days to your date. So if date, for example, is 24/6/2018, and you want 5 days to be added to here. So what will be the output? The output will be 29/6/2018, because you are adding 5 days to the date. So it is like that, adding days to your date. So let's do that. So here, instead of that, if you are not sure if it is valid or not, you can either do here, from here, validation, click OK, and here it says date. So we are adding date, and here it is date. So we are adding an normal number. Paste it. It forms that. Add days, and we are going to store it in text. So what should be the data type of the text? The result will be a date. Okay, it will give me 29/6/2018. So wherever we are storing that, the data type should be date only. So let's change text data type to date. Okay, I change it to date and reset. And there is one error here. Invalid value supplies to parameter of function add days. It says this value is invalid. So date. Let's do one thing then. Instead of because it is telling invalid, because we are not putting any double quotes inside that. This is what I guess. Let's put a double quotes inside the date and click OK and reset. Oh, sorry, reset. So it says 0 error. So the thing is that if it is telling any error, how to debug the error. Let me say, how did I know I have to put double quotes? Let me remove this, click OK. When I reset for the changes to be updated, I got one error. And how did I know that error? Go here, and what it is telling, invalid expression, invalid values supplied to parameter of function add days. So the values are invalid, it is showing in the add days function, the value are invalid. So when I went here, I saw that these are the value I am passing to the add days function. So what can be invalid here? So let's check. Let's go to the date, and if I go to add days, there are two values. One is days, and it is say the number of days to be added. So obviously in number we cannot put a double quotes because it will be text. So only thing is that the date to be added. So it must be the date which needs to be added in the double quotes. This is how you will debug something. This is how you will know something. Debugging we'll see later. Also, if you see in the example, they have put double quotes here, double quotes and then a number, which we have missed. So from here also it is very clear that we have to miss the double quotes, and that was the error. And you can just put the double quotes to solve that error. Now the errors are gone, and you can run this. 24 plus 5 is 29/6/2018. This is the output that I got. Okay, and the data type is date. Okay, so
I have a
yeah.
question.
Sure.
It already says that when you put that date entry, can you just go to that page? Can you just select date? It says in the function details that the results in data should be in the inverted commas. If the function details, just up the date.
Where? This one?
Yeah, the function details. If you read that, it says the result in the date should be in the inverted commas.
Yes.
And I want to see the first calculation. You said 26 plus 5. I just wanted to see whether it takes 31/6 or it takes directly July. Can you do that?
Okay. So let's put 27 here, and click OK. And okay.
Yeah, it says July.
You got So it will give you the updated one. Obviously, it will not give you 32/6.
No. I just wanted to see. I wanted to see whether it.
Yeah. That's it. No. That's a very valid question, and that's a very valid question to others also, I would say, because these are the kind of question that you will get in the certification. Okay, that was just a humor. So these are the type of question you may also face in the certification exam, where they will be giving you some scenarios, because these are the edge cases. So you may think that if I give 27/5, it will be 32, and in the option. So in the certification, if you are planning to attend, what will happen, you will be getting multiple choice question, and you'll get a lot of questions like this. So this is a little bit basic one, but it can be a little bit complex, where you can face a lot of complex question. Okay, so it's very good to test out all the possibilities, how the environment is behaving, how the output is changing based on your input. Okay, so again, one more thing is that this is a good question, Sagar. And again, if you want to, now that you wanted to change the type value, maybe you want to change the date format. For example, it is dd/mm/YYYY, right? You want to change the date format. How will you change the date format? So for that, you have your format date. So you can do a format date here. And how? So tell me one thing. How will I format my date and add 5 days to that? So for that, what I will do is, suppose what I want is something like this: format date 0. So I'll be using this function for format date. Let me just show you an example. And this date function, guys, this is very important. Okay, date function is very important, and because you will be facing questions from these functions. So for example, 26 or 24 today. Okay, that is fine. 26/06/2018. I want the format to be, for example, this format, DDMM YY. So it will give me that format. So if I want again DD, MMYY, it will give me all the formats. Okay, so if you want to change the format to something, you can change the format and it will give you the proper formatted date. Okay, some invalid expression because we must have passed something wrong. The same one, I guess.
Yeah, you took 2018 instead of 18. It's DDMM.
No, I guess I forgot the double quotes. Which one you are saying, Sagar?
The format is DDMMYY.
DDMMM, then YY. This is the format I am taking. So actually, I forgot to include the double quotes. So that is the reason. Okay. It should give me the formatted. Wait. Okay, it is taking in June. So the thing is that when I did a date data type, it was not taking because this June is there, right? JU and June. So Blue Prism considers this as a text, JU and June, okay? Because this is in letter. So that is the reason it was not taking, this as a data type. You got my why we were not getting the exact result? So see, let's make it date again. Let me walk you through it again. So what I'm doing it here, 26/6/2000 waiting, I am converting it to DD, which is 26. MMM in capital is JU and June, something like that. June or JUL July. For March, it will be MAR March. Okay. So when I'm converting it and storing it in a date data type, what is happening is, let's reset and run it. It is giving me the same date. It is not giving me the converted date. It is not formatting the date because JU and June is a text. Okay. However, we are choosing a date data type. This is the reason it is not displaying the JU and June. Okay. So for that reason, we have to make it text. Okay. We have to make it text to store something like that. So if I make it text, you see here it is storing 26 June 2008, 26 June 18 like this. Okay, but yeah, got my point, right? Because we have done YY, that is the reason it is giving me 18 only, because 2 YY will give you 18. DD is giving me 26. MMM is giving me 3 letters of the month, JU and June. Okay. Any doubts here?
No.
Okay, let me. Okay, so one more thing I want you guys to see this help button. This is the help icon of Blue Prism. So whenever you are doing something, for example, I'm doing a calculation, right? I can go to this help here. I have all the expression here. I am getting all the help here, which is giving me with an example. Okay. Also, I can go here in this question mark, and I can go to the calculation stage, and here for the information, what is it say? Enter a name, enter description, enter calculation. This is for this one. Enter a name, enter description, enter expression. In the expression, if I want any help, I can go deeper into calculation and decision, this link. And here I'll get all the help. For example, how date diff works, with example, what are the meaning of everything, how that addition work with example, with tabular information. There is like, hundreds of information available. Format date. See, we're checking the format date, right? See the amount of information they have given us. Format date 19 July YYY MMMDD. I can do this and I'll get something like this. I can get MMMDD comma Y by YY. I will get something like this. And these are the different codes. I can use MM, MMM, and all this DD, 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 and all this. And I can use any combination of all this code, and the result will be something like this. Okay, so they have all the information in the help box here. You got this? You know how to browse this, right? Browse this page. you can get detailed example of. There are a lot of examples which we have not discussed here, which are present here. So when you are practicing, I would recommend you to refer this particular help section in the Blue Prism tool, and you will be able to understand in greater details like what exactly is happening. Okay, make sense? Or any doubts you have, you can let me know. So as I said, all the examples are here. Also, all the examples are here. Also, small examples. So now that we discuss very one or two things, I want you guys to try whatever other functions we have. You can try this, and you can produce that output and see how it is behaving for your practice. Okay. Or any doubts, you can let me know now. Or later on also you can let me know while you are practicing. Okay, so now that we are done with this, we have few of the conversion is your to date. If I want to convert one text to to date, so why do we need a conversion? Why do we need to convert something to date function? Because what will happen is, so see, I have a date something like this, 26/12/2018. Okay, it's a string, it's a text. Okay, I want to it's a text currently, but I want to add 5 days to it. I want to add 5 days to it. What will happen? It will not work because I cannot add 5 days to a text. I have to convert this to a date function. I have to convert it to a date function so that Blue Prism knows that it's a date. Then I can add 5 days to that. So for that scenario, I can use the to date function. Converts a value to date following the standard Blue Prism data casting rules. Similarly, I can convert to days, to hours, to minutes, and all of that. So this is where conversion will come into picture. Are you clear with this? Can you try this example as well at home? Conversion. Because we cannot see each of the example here, right? So we are seeing whatever is possible, but others are self-explanatory, but you should yourself try with, because this is important. Okay, the others what we have here, like environment, then exception, and data. Data is something we're not going to talk about because it will give you binary representation of data, and that is something not necessary for us right now. So whatever data we are sending, it will give us a binary representation in 0011, something like that. However, others like environment and exception, these are a little bit advanced concept, and we are going to see this later on. These are not related to data, text, and number. So we are going to see these examples later in when we cover all of this topic. Okay. File also, as I was telling you, right? Then when we send a file, image file, that gets converted to binary file, and binary files can convert to text file and all of that stuff. Okay, so these are like text related. Also, this also we'll see later, very basic example, because these are not that much used in Blue Prism. Most are the text function, then logic, and the date function. So you see this, you practice it. Others like environment and exception, we'll see function here later. Okay, when we work upon that. Okay, so any doubts here, guys? Any doubts you have? Any doubts at all? Let me know. Or because we are not going to discuss anything today, we will be discussing rest of the things later on. So if you do not have any doubts, then we can close this session, and what we can do next is we can go ahead with installation of the tool. So not now, I have some work now, but later sometime, because normally weekends will be very busy, I'll talk to each of you, and we'll be completing installation in few days so that all of you can practice whatever we have discussed, and I'll share all this recording as well by uploading it to YouTube. Okay, anything that you want to discuss, let me know. So when you are closing, and whatever you're working on and you are trying to close, so first make sure you save it with a proper comment, done with functions, for example, save changes, and then close it. Okay, something like that. So are we good to close the session? Are we fine with it, all of you? Or if you don't
Yes,
have
sir.
this, fine, right?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Okay, guys. Then so
Are you
one.
going to upload the videos for both today's and
Yeah. Today's and yesterday's video. So in the same Google Drive, I have sent all the softwares in the Google Drive, right? In the same Google Drive, I am going to create another Excel sheet called video recording links, and there I will provide class-wise links to the video, YouTube video, and the video will be private video, so you have to log in through your Gmail ID to access the video. Okay, others cannot access the video, so all the videos will be private. Okay. I'll share the links.
Can
And
we
about
download that videos offline mode just in case if we don't have?
if you want to download, then let me know, because private video you cannot download. So if you want to download, then that is fine. I'll make it public for a few days. You can go ahead with download. You can download all of you if you want, and later I can make it public. Because the thing is, what happens is, when we do a project or when we discuss something, people, like you who are joining this class, you may want to share something from your company. Like, in my company, Infosys was the client, or it was the client, and we are doing like this. A lot of things happen. So if some HR or someone sees that videos and people are discussing their client stuffs which is not legal, then it becomes a problem. That is the reason we always make it private video, and we don't want everyone to see that. So if you want to download that, obviously I can give you a few days to download. Within 2-3 days you can complete downloading. Later on we can make it private. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay then. So one major thing what I am worrying about right now is the installation of tool, which basically I have to cover each of your laptops separately, because you all have different environment. So I will just take care of that. So Sagar and Supriya, you people know Blue Prism a little bit, so I will complete the installation for you guys a little bit late. But for Ansi and Sakshi, I want them to be first install the tool, because they are completely new to Blue Prism, so that they can practice, and we'll finish the installation soon. Okay.
Okay.
Need only the info, like what is the VM link? I have already a VM has been installed in my system, but I don't know why it's not working fine. Could you give me the link so I can try today and I'll let you know, so that we can take time?
Yeah. So Supriya, the thing is that I have created a new VM, updated VM, and that VM is 15 GB. So yesterday night I could not upload the VM. So today night only I'll upload the VM and I'll share the link with you. Okay.
Then I'll try tomorrow. Okay, and I'll let you know. Let
Sure.
the others who don't have BP right now in the LAPI, let them have installation.
Yeah.
Because they need.
Yeah. Sure. Okay then. Thanks guys. I'll connect with you, all of you. I'll connect, and if you have any issue or if you want to discuss anything, you can ping in that WhatsApp group that we have made, the Blue Prism WhatsApp group, and we can connect from there also. And anyway, I'll be connecting with you guys for installation of the tool, and we'll be finishing it soon within 2 days. Okay. Okay then. Thanks a lot for joining. Have a nice weekend, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.